So here we are giving a couple of coats of latex to a couple of skulls here. What I'm doing is basically I'm making two new molds. They're the originals there. And this is the first coat going on now. So the first coat when you're painting, especially with this level of detail, is you really want to make sure that you catch it all. Okay, so underneath cheekbones there, make sure that's done. And I'm just going to start on this one. I'm going to give it its first coat. Now, don't mind the plastic tabletop that I'm using. It's absolutely filthy. In terms of it's filthy, there's a lot of paint and stuff like that, but I've cleaned it. I make sure there's no oil or grease or dust or anything that might stop the latex sticking to it, which is something we don't want. Now, I've done that before, where I'm not sure exactly what it was that was on the tip of on the top of the table, but it started to peel away. The latex was peeling away not long after it dried, but before it cured, and we don't want that. So just give the flange here another going over. So I like to have the flange quite large so I can support the skull when I'm making my molds. Then I can support the skull using whatever, really. Anyway, so I'm just going over the skull here, and again, just make sure you get in underneath the cheekbones, inside the nostrils there. Okay, now this skull here is made of herculite. It's not glued to the tabletop. This one is plastic. This is actually the original. Now, this was given to me by my girlfriend ages ago as a present, and that's actually hollow plastic. So I've glued it using hot glue to the tip of this plastic table. This one, herculite, it's not, I haven't been bothered really to glue it to the top of the table. So I've just let its own weight keep it there while I put the latex on. And while I build the flange around the bottom there, and as that hardens, as the first couple of layers harden, the latex will anchor the skull to the top of the table. So there should be no difficulty with it moving. As I said, the important thing about the first coat, you don't need to have a lot of it on, but you do need to make sure you get in underneath all these cuts and all this little detail. Okay, and also if you see bubbles, just pop them, because there's a chance then that the bubbles will transfer into the mould, and then of course when you cast, you'll find that the bubbles will be in all of your cast. Now, I haven't experienced that. That hasn't actually happened to me. It's not to say it won't happen. So it's better if you see bubbles, just burst them, at least at this stage. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give that another going over. It's not dry by any means, but the very important first coat is gone. So I consider everything after that then to be, almost a working coat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these fellas 2 coats, perhaps 3, of this unthickened latex. Then I'm going to add the thickener, and then I'm going to throw the coats on really, really thick. I think with this particular latex, which I've spoken about before, I can probably have these 2 ready to go in maybe 3 days. So I'm going to give them, I'm not really sure. I do a lot of things by eye. I'm not counting the coats, but we'll say 10 altogether. So we'll say 3 thin coats, and then we'll have 7, maybe 8 thickened coats. I'm going to use the thickener in this latex, and I'm going to throw that on over the top. So if you just bear with me for 1 minute, just show you something that I got earlier. Now, people talk about vibrating table, and there's various ways how you can contract one and how you can hack one. Now, so what I did was I wondered, would a vibro pad, which is one of these fitness vibrating things, I wonder would that work? So I asked around on the marketplace, I think it was, and it turns out this woman was selling one, And I think I got it for 50 euros or something like that. So that's the way it works. And I don't actually have anything to put onto it at the moment, but this is the principle. So if I just put that on top there, you see this shaking away. All right. That's working away there. That's the Polycraft liquid latex. So just to demonstrate. So I've been using this. I'm just going to switch it off there now. I've been using this as my vibrating table. And so far, the results have been great. Now, this pan figure. Now, I took this out of the mold probably 2 or 3 days ago. And I'm not happy at all with it. If you look up close, there's a lot of bubbles in it. Okay, now I can fill those in, and I will fill them in, but I'm not happy. And I think what actually occurred there was I used a plasticizer in my premix. Now, when I say premix, I use Post 10, which is a concrete in a bag. It's available here in Ireland for about 6 to 9 euros per bag. And when I put the plasticizer in with it, and the plasticizer I used was this stuff, Evoplast, I actually don't think it did it any good at all. And I think what it's done is it's created a lot of bubbles here. And as such, I'm not going to use the Evoplast again. So I'll just show you what, if I go into the back garden now, it's 11:30 at night here. So you can see a couple of the items I have going on out the back. Shit, try not to fall. There's a few lions. And just to show you, that's one of the exact same pan heads that I used from the same mold without the plasticizer. There's another one. Did that today as well. And you can see there's no bubbles at all in it. These are a few green men. I cast those yesterday. And there's no bubbles in those either. This is the mold that I used for the pan head there. I made this myself, of course. So, probably 20 layers of latex. And if you look closely, see layers of jute scrim, which is basically just, it's kind of twine fabric. Mix that in after about 4 or 5 layers, then I put that in on top, or in between, put in a few thick layers over it. So, gives it nice toughness. Nice toughness, you see. So instead of a mother mold, I just have this. I think this came from a Tasmo coffee maker, and it's just a expanded polystyrene, and just the forehead of the mold fits right in there. But it's a tough enough mold, so it doesn't need an awful lot of support. There's another one. Made that at the same time. I think of 3 or 4 of those. I only really use 2 at a time at the moment. The mother mold I made for that looks pretty nasty, but it does the trick. It's just plaster of Paris poured into a plastic container. Sits down into that there. So just a quick look at a couple of other things I have lying around now. I'm just doing this now because I have got a proper camera, which I will put a memory card into tomorrow, and hopefully I can start uploading some decent videos for a change. And there's a couple of the green men now. I have an order for these from a garden centre. So the order is 10 each green men, 10 gargoyles. There's a few little bits and pieces there that I've been making the last few days. These little, very, very small gargoyle. Little Easter Island head style thing. Now this I made myself. I made the mold, of course, but what that was is a phrenology head. It was a small phrenology head. I just took the mold from it. This small little imp. This is from a mold that I bought. It was very expensive, the mold. I think it was in the region of 16, 17 euros from a supplier in the UK. This was something similar, you know. It was really expensive. I'm not going to bother. I don't think I'm going to bother making molds from it. There's a lot of little itty bitty details there, so you tend to get bubbles. Now, I don't really think something that size is really is worth copying in terms of the mold, because I can't imagine if I'd be able to sell this for very much. Maybe, I don't know, $2 or $3. Not very happy. It looks okay, I suppose. You know, it's decorative, but I can't imagine being able to sell very many of them. But I might be wrong. The way things are with COVID, very, very little selling at the moment. This is something now that I got. This was a Chinese mold. It was a silicone mold. And you can see there it's just a child of some sort asleep in a hand. These are bubble holes that I filled in there just with Portland cement. You can see a little bit rough looking, but otherwise turned out okay. Actually, I think that hole needs to be filled again. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'm going to paint that. I'm going to paint that. So, and I'm going to paint most of these. So, yeah, I'm quite happy with that little one. This is just, I don't mind the state of the floor. This is one of the green men that I did. I probably did this, about a month ago, maybe more. Of course, like an idiot, I forgot to put something to hang it in the back. I was trying to make a hole in it, but it's set solid concrete at that stage, so I'm not going to bother. From now on, nothing leaves the house without a hanging hook. That's a green man there hung up. Just a few bits and pieces around it. So, these are plaques. I got the original Carcassonne of France. Same place I got my gargoyle. And I made a couple of molds from this. Well, if anyone's interested, I'll show you some more details on that. So there's a few of these. I haven't sold any. Oh, hang on, I've sold one or two of these. Very slow. Very slow. Everything's very slow to sell at the moment. Like I said, I've got a bit of an order from a garden centre, so that's pretty good. Now, that's one of the first gargoyle molds that I made there. They're quite easy to make, but unfortunately, when you're demolding them, you have to watch out for the horns and the ears. This is actually the original from Carcassonne. Now, it looked a lot better until I started coating it with latex, which pulled off a lot of the paintwork. But as you can see, it's nothing special. I was very impressed by it. Of course, I didn't know anything about how it was made. It looked like some sort of stone. It's basically just very soft plaster, and it was painted black, and then it was dry brush white. I think that or you know, something similar anyway. So that's the way I've been doing it anyway. I have lots of those made in concrete. This is the phrenology head. That's concrete. This was actually a Santa statue that I got in TK Maxx just before Christmas, when we were allowed to shop for about 25 minutes before they closed everything down. So I got the Santa, copied the mould. Hang on, do I have the mould? Sorry about the mess in here. That's the mould there. Okay. That was made exactly the same process as these. Put the guy down here. Build up the layers. It didn't take much. I must say this fiberglass, the latex that I'm using. Oh God, this stuff. Polycraft is very good. It's a very good coverage. It dries very well. Yeah, it's good stuff. Now, some people like to dip. I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. It's not to say I won't do it. The reason I'm doing the mold, the layers, is because that's what I know how to do, and that's the way I have been doing it. That's another one of the gargoyle molds that I made there. You can see now it's quite old. You can see the colour of it. But I've cast a lot from that now. I've cast a few. The problem with these gargoyles is you have a little undercut on the chin. So when you fill the cement or the Herculite or whatever it is in, you need to waggle it like that. Make sure you get all the stuff in there. Give it a good squeeze, good whack, and get the bubbles out, because the bubbles in something like that will show up very readily. Now, we are going to have a look at this. These are the raven skulls. I bought the mold from China. I've made quite a few of these, and they've actually sold quite well. I'm getting about $10 each for them. Now, obviously, I paint them up. I'll show you now what that looks like. So they look like this when they're painted. I've just literally base coat them black, and then I dry brush it with gold. It's a gold paint I have here. Rustin's Gold, which I can't find because you can see the place is an absolute mess. So, this is just part 2 of my molds. So get an idea what's going on. If you're interested in seeing any more of these, and I'm hoping, like I say, I have a better camera, so I should be able to upload a little bit more content. So just if you hit like and subscribe there for me, please, that'd be really great. Thanks very much. Bye bye.